We all love compliments, but founders are built different. They are not a big fan of the sugar coated stuff like, hey, interesting idea, or let's catch up soon. They crave honest feedback, tough questions, and maybe even a purchase order. That's where EthAum comes in. Our roast sessions are designed to turn up the heat, live and unfiltered. Founders face tough questions, real feedback, and zero fluff from seasoned experts. Think of it like Shark Tank, but less drama and more insights. Today we have Shay Cohen, founder of Genesis Medical Vision, stepping into the spotlight. He's here to share his solution, answer some tough questions, and get real feedback from a very diverse and awesome panel. I would request our panelists to introduce themselves. Max, I see you on screen. Can you please give a quick intro?
Thank you. My name is Max. I'm three things. I'm a Berliner, I'm a consultant, and I'm an economist by background. And I had a group inside Siemens Healthineers that is called Value Creation, which is part of our global consulting organization focused on working with investors, project sponsors of all sorts, entering new markets, putting together new endeavors. So I'm very happy to be here and to learn about what's the latest and greatest in innovation.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Max, for your time today. Really appreciate it. Kedar, may I request you to go next, please?
Yeah, thanks, Pankaj and EthAum for inviting me to the panel. It's always exciting to learn about these new patient-centric innovations in all these panels and interactions. I've been in the healthcare domain for close to 2.5 decades now. Predominantly, my contribution has been to Philips and where I had the opportunity to design. So today's topic is very close to my heart and also of interest because I had the opportunity to design and orchestrate AI for radiology, oncology, cardiology cohorts, accelerating earlier the companies like Lunit, Cubim, Context Flow. I have seen earlier also in reference as one of the panelists earlier, Quantib, many similar ones, and also had the opportunity to implement the corporate venturing strategy for radiology informatics to assess and onboard AI companies to Philips's orchestration platform. So this is very interesting and close to my heart as a topic. Presently, I accelerate healthcare and deep tech innovations, partnering with startups, incubators, scalers like yourselves, and corporates across the globe, mainly through my experience in corporate strategy, corporate venturing, innovation management, and ecosystem orchestration. So very happy to be here and partner up with the other panelists and talking to Shay.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Kedar. Really appreciate it. It is quite fascinating that you have done so much relevant work in the past. So that's quite interesting. Dr. Ali, may I request you to go next, please?
Okay, so thank you very much, first of all, to invite me on the panel. So I'm Ali. I'm working as a head of the Smart Factory AI and Digital at Sanofi, which is one of the pharmaceutical. And my Ph.D. is also in healthcare optimization and the process improvement. So healthcare was quite close to me because I have worked with multiple hospitals. And from the last 10, 12 years, I'm working in healthcare and medical devices on AI and digital transformation. And I'm looking forward to hear from all the thesis.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Ali. Really appreciate your time today. Megan, may I request you go next, please?
Certainly, yes. Thank you, Pankaj, and thank you for the invitation to join the panel. My name is Megan Morys-Carter. I'm the Director of Digital Innovation for an acute hospital trust in the UK based in Oxfordshire. And I guess my team within the hospital deals in digital innovation, particularly bringing new things into the hospital. So I'm particularly interested in the startup we've got presenting today, as that's an area that we're particularly interested in terms of cancer improvement and making sure that we kind of do the best for our patients in that area. I run a digital health startup accelerator as part of the role. and also have recently written the AI policy for the institution. So I've got delved a little bit into the governance around bringing AI technologies into medicine. So very interested to see how this goes.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Megan. And I'm sure that you may be evaluating a lot of startups already. So probably you will have a lot of interesting insights for Shay today. Last but not least, may I request Ronald to go next, please.
Absolutely. Good morning. Pankaj, very excited to be amongst this elite body of wonderful people. So excited to be here. Genesis is close to my heart because I recently had served as almost a sister company in the space of AI. I recently had served this past year as Director of Communications at Protean Biodiagnostics in Florida. Right now, I'm working primarily as an individual with a new little company I've labeled Rainmaker Brands. I'm super excited to be not necessarily roasting CEO Shay because, well, in full disclosure, I think I called him at 6 a.m. Eastern today. I have just staggering raw news for the group as far as where companies like Genesis are headed. I must share this because it's raw and real, and I've been in this space, but I'm thrilled to be amongst this most esteemed group.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Ronald. And as I mentioned earlier, it is all positive, right? Again, thanks a lot, all the panelists, for joining us today. Again, feel free to be honest, direct, maybe even a bit spicier, right? Shay is ready. I mean, he has all the answers ready with himself, and probably an ice bucket as well. Now let's have some fun with this session. I would request Shay, founder and CEO of Genesis Medical Vision, to quickly introduce himself and then dive into the pitch deck of Genesis. Shay, please go ahead.
Thank you, Pankaj, and good afternoon, everybody. So yeah, before we go on to speaking about Genesis, half a minute about myself. My name is Shay Cohen, CEO and co-founder of the company. I come from a business background. My bachelor's degree was in law and economics, and I'm an MBA graduate in the management of technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Genesis is my second startup. The first one was a venture that I took from a startups incubator, a micro VC that I used to work for, matured from the incubator from a raw idea stage and all the way towards global sales. I still serve as a director at that company, as coordinating from the side, watching it grow, but that really allowed me to carry on to the next challenge. And now a whole different story, Genesis Medical Vision.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Shay. I think you should be able to share your screen and share your presentation. So please feel free to.
Yes, please let me know once you can see my screen.
Yes, we see your presentation. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect. So good afternoon, everybody. As I said, my name is Shay Cohen, and Genesis Medical Vision. Genesis Medical Vision is an early detection of cancer AI platform. The company is pioneering a groundbreaking technology that solves some of the main problems which are hampering the adoption of AI into medical imaging in general, but specifically into the early detection of cancer, which still today remains one of the last global domains to which AI has yet to truly penetrate. Despite the clear need and all the efforts conducted and being conducted so far, still today, 2025, most of the CT and MRI interpretations are conducted manually. Slow, expensive, full of interpretations error and subjectivity. As we understand it, the main reason for this is a technological reason. All other AI technologies in the world today, machine learning, deep learning, everything you're very well familiar with, alongside the tremendous value they bring, are all at the end some sort of a statistical model. And as such, they are all bounded to specific inherent limitations, preventing them from providing a real solution to the problem. One of them, very important, is what I showcase here, the known trade-off between sensitivity and specificity. You want to increase the accuracy levels of your system, you pay for it at the other end with a high rate of false positive. And this high false positive rate, again, in our domain, early detection, screening environments, is what first generates a very low clinical value to these systems. They are unreliable, the physicians cannot trust and adopt them, and on the economical incentive side, they basically fail to the very same reason for which they were created. Instead of saving the workload of the radiologist, which is the main problem here and the main goal of the AI, they generate more workload. They force the physicians to go over objects they wouldn't have gone if they were working manually. And the result is that there are existing systems, FDA approved and in market. The physicians just prefer to shut them down and work manually with all the drawbacks that I've just mentioned. These are exactly the problems we're solving. Genesis is pioneering technology which is a completely new and different approach to AI and image and pattern recognition, which is fundamentally non-statistical and truly allows us to imitate and replicate the logic and intuition of the physician and translate it onto an algorithm. We do not learn by examples as the machine learning does. We do something completely different. Instead, we speak with the expert physician. We understand from him what he sees, how he sees it, how he interprets what he sees. We understand the logic. We understand the occurrence in a medical imaging scan. And from this dialogue, we can extract all the important terms and notions also needed for signing the diagnosis report. And for each term and the interrelations between them, we build a mathematical model, a non-statistical mathematical model which clinically best describes the physical reality and translate it onto an algorithm. At the core of it, this is all we do, but from this approach, many advantages derive. It first of all allows us to completely break the paradigm of the trade-off that I've just mentioned. We can constantly increase the accuracy levels of our system, while at the other end, step by step, suppress false positive rates down until we reach a result that provides a real solution to the problem, and I'll soon touch the clinical results we provide. This is one very important, but really not the only one. We're definitely speaking about explainable AI. As opposed to the black box answer the machine learning provides you with, we, thanks to the fact that all we do is replicate the logic of the physician, can easily explain our decision outside in a plain, intuitive, color-coded manner, and further allow the radiologist to understand and trust the system, leading to adoption. We are very much not data hungry. Data, which in medicine is difficult to obtain, expensive if you do, but sometimes simply not possible. Sometimes there are only 50 known cases in literature for a specific phenomena. You can't build a proper deep learning model based on 50 examples. We can. We can describe every phenomena, rare as it may be, with the same details we describe a very frequently occurring phenomena, and without disrupting all the weight system inherent to the machine learning. And then go on and model edge cases, difficult to detect cases, early detection of cancer cases. Detecting a 4-5 centimeters tumor, that's an easy task for the human eye or for competing statistical models. What you have left is to tell the patient how much time he has to live. Detecting a 2-3 millimeters long nodule or a nodule that sits on top of a blood vessel, that's a difficult task. That's a task where the inter- and intra-observer variability levels get high. And these are exactly the places that we can enter to what traditional AI methodologies cannot enter to in principle. Now, all this fascinating story translates to real clinical results, providing real clinical value to physicians. In our vision, we're building a full pan-cancer platform. We want to touch all cancer types. In our vision, the patient should go through a full-body PET-CT scan, and the system will recognize all 15 abnormalities at the earliest stages possible. Still, a startup company, a very high level of focus. Our first product is the G4 Lungs, allowing automatic screening of lung cancer, the second most common type of cancer, but the deadliest of them all. And the G4 Lungs allows to detect it at the earliest stages possible. I'll stop the presentation now and jump to a quick video of the product, and we can continue afterwards with where we are in our journey. Can you, sorry, just a second. You can see the video or the presentation?
Yeah, we see the video, but you want to turn up the volume probably.
Okay.
Radiologist's co-pilot. G for lungs is fully integrated into the PAC system, automatically generating a prioritized patient list and placing cases with findings at the top. By entering a specific patient, the radiologist can review the patient's case pending analysis and previous cases. Pressing on a specific case opens the main analysis page. The system first presents the slide with the most significant finding. On the left is the original CT scan, and on the right is the AI analyzed scan. The colors represent different stages in the radiologist's analysis, and the AI detected lung nodule circled in yellow. It is possible to move directly to the slides containing findings or to scroll back and forth through the case. The current case can also be compared with previous scans of the same patient. At the end of the process, an automated report is generated. The AI algorithms generate recommended text for the detected nodules and the lung RAD score of the case. The report is saved back to the PACS system or exported to email or PDF. G for lungs, an automated screening of lung cancer.
Perfect. Let's go back to the presentation. Just a second. Can you
Yeah,
see my
back to
screen?
presentation.
Yeah, perfect. We're progressing great with the G4 lungs. Our design partner is the largest medical imaging provider here in the country. And as a first step, we've conducted a clinical trial with them on the Ministry of Health lung cancer screening program. We finalized this study with remarkable results. We've reached 97% sensitivity, which is great, but even more important than that, a mere 0.2 false positive per case at the other end. These are results that are not 20-30% better than the competition. They are 10 to 15 times better than any other existing system. And now they allowed us to get into strategic projects, also in Israel, but mainly in Europe and the US. In Europe, we have partnered with iDNA, which is the leading global lung cancer organization, for a strategic project spanning across 11 European countries. We're affiliating with the two most important screening programs, the 4 in the long run of all Western Europe and the UKLS of all 4 UK countries, generating the exact needed clinical and economical data to allow real implementation of the technology. In the US, we are in the middle of a strategic study with MGH in Boston, one of the best hospitals in the world. Again, the G4 Lungs doesn't do only nodule detection. It fully automates the entire process of interpreting a chest CT scan, from patient prioritization through nodule detection, classification by the correct lung RAD score, comparison between the previous cases, tracking the growth of the nodule over the course of time and calculating the VDT, and all the way towards a fully automated generated report. We take a medical procedure which today takes an average of 10 to 15 minutes and allow the radiologist to finish it in not more than a minute or two. The product is now entering commercial pilots. Here we are receiving the Ministry of Health medical device approval and entering commercial pilot with our design partner, and a very interesting mobile CT project with Siemens and one of the leading hospitals in the country, alongside pilots in Brazil, UK, Poland, and potentially Kazakhstan as well. We have partnered with the most accurate institutions throughout the world for our stage, showing great traction. Our super strong team comprises of the leading professors in the country, the mathematician who has been developing this very deep technology, which is now in use in other verticals outside of medicine in the most sensitive places, the leading radiologist in the country, the leading oncologist, one of the leading global lung cancer experts, and strategic investors which support us. At the core of the story lies real and deep technology, which is already starting to touch the holy grail and the huge market of early detection of cancer. If you'd like to join us in our journey, I'll be glad to speak with any one of you. Really, I ran through a lot of information now. I'm sure that you have plenty of questions, and I'm ready to take any one of them. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Shay, for the quick presentation. Panelists, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions to Shay. Yeah.
Should I go first? You talk about clinical. So what kind of clinical evidences support your algorithm, like the size and diversity and representation of the data? That was not very clear to me from the presentation.
Sure. So back in the beginning of the role, we've done a large internal R&D study on 2,000 CT cases, half of them from a US database, which is hand-built to allow the development of such systems, not random screening population, but hand-built to allow us to know all the phenomena needed to be detected. And the second half random screening population that we've collected from several hospitals and medical centers here. This is one. Afterwards, we've done the clinical trial I presented on the Ministry of Health Lung Cancer Screening Program. That was on 100 CT cases. And now we are in the middle of the project in Europe. Stage 1 is 446 cases. Stage 2 is 1,000 cases. With MGH, we're doing 500 cases. And the pivotal study for the FDA would be smaller. It will be around 300 cases.
This is all data that comes from like the developed Western world, right? Have you considered any geographical, racial bias, these types of things?
Yeah, very good question. The data we have used to develop the algorithm doesn't necessarily come from all the developed world. We've gathered data from Israel, Europe, and the US, but also from Russia and some from South America and some from the Southeast Asia. And from FDA's concern, for example, one of the things we'll need to prove is exactly the ethnicity. Half of the data should be US-generated data representing the different ethnicity in the US, the different CT scanner models, etc. Across the different data sets that I described, we've shown a very high level of stability in the results, not real variability between different data sets.
Yeah, I think just building on to, sorry, Max, go ahead, complete.
I was just commenting to also, give the background of my question, because I see a lot of these solutions being affected, for instance, especially in the lung case, by previous tuberculosis and these types of things, right? So especially if we look into applications in like really developing countries, Africa, lung screening programs, these types of things. So that's something that you might want to take into account moving forward.
That's a very important question. I'll even use it to explain an additional advantage here. With traditional machine learning, deep learning algorithm, you have the data bias. You train the algorithm based on specific data, and now it is biased to the specific data it was trained on. Here, because we are not training algorithms on data, but the model understands the logic, you don't have this data bias. And now it can see a new phenomena that it didn't see before, it wasn't trained on, but it can understand what is happening there. Exactly like, my chief medical officer, my co-founder, one of the leading radiologists here in the country, he says that it is exactly like he trains an intern coming to his radiology department. He says he'll finish the internship, he's seen 500, maybe 600 CT cases, and he's a certified radiologist, he's able to sign by himself. He'll see the 601 case, a new phenomena that he didn't see before, but he has the tools and the knowledge how to approach it and understand what is happening there. And this is exactly how we build the system. Exactly.
Right. So I think just building onto that part, I think my question is that the heterogeneity of the data still, I think, so how do you address and 97% and 0.2% false positive that you mentioned about the issues of image quality, scan thickness, scanner vendors, right? You briefly talked about, but can you talk about the 97% and then 0.2% that you talked about? What's the kind of data heterogeneity is existing into that particular part, especially the slice thickness, scan conditions, and then also the scanner models? How is it tested against those?
Yeah, so in this clinical trial, there were 4 scanners, 1 GE, 2 Philips, and 1 Siemens. And the inclusion and exclusion criteria were exactly like the definition of population that should go to a screening test, age 50 to 80, with 20 years of pack smoking history. Okay, the slide thickness on this study was 2.5 to 3 millimeters.
Okay.
And now what we're doing in with IDNA in Europe and with MGH is on 1 millimeter slide spacing.
Okay. I hear you on that. I think just coming back a little bit of zooming from the slice thickness and data heterogeneity. Overall, my input is that what I missed in the narrative today is basically the competition benchmarking and your go-to-market part of it. So I think it will be good for you to address that particular part also. And at this point in time, I understand because it's an early stage, because you're pre-revenue, it appears to me at this point in time. But it appears as a pitching very much as a largely tech-oriented, deep tech-oriented, which is fair. But at the same time, I think I would also recommend you to keep in mind the importance of, apart from the false positives, the aspects of workflow, tighter workflow integrations and seamless workflow integrations. That also is one of the important factors that has to be in the narrative also. Otherwise, it's just one technology that can get replaced with another one in future as such.
Yeah, no, this is very important. The product, if I didn't emphasize it, is fully integrated into the PAC system and the clinical workflow of the physician. Definitely, 100%.
I think I will. Okay, you can carry on. I'll have a question, but I will add it later for the data part.
Okay, super. Yeah, just wanted to follow on that point actually, which is that I agree on the competition piece, that it would be helpful to be a bit more explicit about that. And particularly if you start Googling your statement that about specificity and sensitivity, I think there are some other research groups that seem to be getting quite good results. And so it's quite a bold statement to make without kind of backing that up with a little bit more evidence and a little bit more sort of detail as to what other products might be out there and what they might be trying to do, if that makes sense.
You can share this slide of competitive landscape. In this quick presentation, I didn't want to get into it, but yeah, that definitely exists. Let me please share my screen. You'll see here a few companies and competitors that you have mentioned before. And can you see my screen?
Yep.
This is really helpful.
So we can see that the leading models reach 87-88% sensitivity, and always with a price of 1, 2, sometimes 5 and 8 false positives on each case. When remember, we're speaking about screening environment, where the vast majority of the population are negative, are no findings. You send healthy population to an annual low-dose CT scan. But I will say that the results, only sensitivity, false positive, it tells only part of the story. Okay, the other part of the explainable AI, the data and the potential for us to go into further indications and to places that it's not the current solutions are not good enough, that there aren't any existing systems because of these inherent problems, is also a very important part of the story here.
I think that would be helpful to be explicit about, partly because I know that at least one of your competitors we've been trialing in our hospital.
Which one, if I may ask?
I don't think we'd be doing it if we didn't sort of see that the level they were getting to was acceptable. So one of the other things you might want to think about is, yes, you might be better, but do the clinicians care about the betterness that you have, and are they willing to pay for it? You know, are health systems willing to pay for it? So I think that'd be worth looking at. I'm also curious about your patent strategy and what exactly you've protected. Have you protected against sort of people following in your footsteps, you know, entirely, or is it a very specific part of your approach that you've been able to protect?
No, we've really built a very strong fence around the technology. We're registering 7 patents now. First one is already PCT approved, and the next 4 we submitted them together because they contain mutual elements. And we're trying to be, for your question regarding the patent strategy, we tried to be more specific with the solution, CT, lungs, and not just describing the general methodology and exposing it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. Ali, did you want to come in?
Yeah, I have because you mentioned in your slide that your sample size was a small data sample size. So I want to know.
This study was 100 cases, yes.
Yeah, so I want to know how much percentage of the data you use for the development of the model, and how much percentage of data you use for training the model, and how you keep that there will be no biasness in the data. What kind of parameters you use to stop that the data should not be contaminated, or it should not be inclined to a certain direction.
Yeah, so first of all the data that I've mentioned is not training data, it's clinical validation data. Okay, after we finalized building the model and we went on to clinical validation. Okay, not for training, this is one. Second, again, we do not train models. Okay, we do not do machine learning, we do something completely different, which is one of the main things that allow us to avoid this data bias. Okay, we understand the principles, we understand the logic, we understand the way that a radiologist interprets a medical imaging scan. And this really allows us to avoid this data bias, and we see a very high level of stability in the results. For example, we've generated 5 million synthetic data cases for testing not only the sensitivity, but mainly the stability of the results. Okay, and we show a very high level of stability in these synthetic data and across data sets from around the world.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question, Ali?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I'm curious, you mentioned about MGH pivotal study, right?
Yes.
And in the table that you afterwards you shared, I didn't see one of the player that I would have liked to see. Is that MGH has obviously the Sybil part of it, so you must know about this thing. So have you compared your performance with reference to Sybil, and with that as an open access, how is your IP protection strategy going to be panning out? I guess your approach is likely to be a symbolic AI based, or is it a different approach? And have you compared with the Sybil performance?
What do you refer as a symbolic AI?
The non-statistical AI approach.
Okay, well, symbolic AI, okay, I can understand it. If we compare it to Sybil, yeah, we will compare it to Sybil as well as several other AI models for nodule detection that were evaluated at MGH. Yeah, definitely. The aim of the project there is to finalize not only the study, but to publish an article in a scientific journal as soon as possible. Definitely. That is even, it's our interest, but it's mainly MGH interests.
Okay. I think it's important to to keep that particular part as the competitive benchmarking in mind. And I think zooming back from the technology part of it, your approach part of it, coming back to more of a workflow and then the positioning of the solution. So are you positioning it as a CAD-E or because you are so confident about the less false positives directly as a CAD-X? And what's the predominant use case? Are you suggesting it to be used as a pre-screener, as an assistant to the radiologist, or even as a backup to the radiologist? So how is your product positioning that you're actually talking to the hospitals?
Yeah, so we're going for a CAD-X pathway, yes.
Okay.
And we're still speaking in a decision support language.
Okay.
Both marketing language and regulatory language, definitely.
Yes.
5-10 years from now, let's speak about full automation. But currently with our current FDA submission, still a decision support language, and it's not a second read, it's concurrent read. It's when the radiologist reaches his workstation, all the interpretations are waiting for him. He just needs to open the case, scroll through it, make sure that nothing is missed and that he agrees with everything, and he can sign the report in a minute or two.
Okay, and is that a 510K route you're taking, or is a different one that you're looking at?
Yeah, for the first submission, we're going for a 510K route. Software as a medical device, 510K.
And that would be for the target detection target is above 3 mm or 5 mm. So what's the target range?
For the slice spacing or the size of the nodule?
Size of the nodule.
Size of the nodule is 3 millimeters and above.
Okay.
And slice thickness 1.7, 0.7 and above.
Okay. I'll let other panelists go in.
Anything you want to share on the commercialization strategy, if you have any thoughts on that yet?
Yeah, definitely. So we're segmentizing the market into 4 main segments: radiologists, imaging centers, hospitals, and radiology companies, and from which our go-to-market emphasizes first on radiology companies, and from which we are already in negotiations mainly with a company called Reus Radiology, which is the second or third largest radiology company in the US. And together with them, we're building the pivotal FDA study together with. They're a very large company, physical presence at 26 states, 200 imaging centers, a network of 1,000 radiologists, the ideal customer profile for the first product. And afterwards, we will go to the further segments of the market. And also with, in this market, I guess some of the panelists are familiar with them, there are companies which serve as distributors/integrators, the likes of ADOC, Nuance, Blackford. We will integrate into their platform, which will make the integration into each healthcare network much more not only easy and quick, but also feasible today. Instead of now we're finalizing the integration into GE's packs with our design partner here, it's taking time. This simply simplifies all the process.
And would that be more of a licensing model or like a fee for service, or how does that look like?
So the product is a cloud-based SaaS platform with SaaS business models, usage-based model. The medical procedure we are automating, the interpretation of a chest CT scan, specifically in screening environment, receives in the US reimbursement of $150 per case. The later stages, higher reimbursement towards 200. If we are able to take this process that today takes the radiologist an average of 10 to 15 minutes and dramatically reduce the interpretation time, there is major value and money into it. And let's not say that we'll reach a minute or two. If we'll be able to cut it only in half, it will already be dramatic. And yeah, to either charge for a scan with lower, smaller customers, or an annual subscription with larger customers, also based on assumption of the volumes.
Just because you mentioned the cloud, and then I'll hand over to another panelist as well. Where does the data need to be sent? I know that's an issue, especially if you look outside the US, that many countries restrict data being sent outside or like anywhere else.
Also in the US, the regulation prohibits you using a cloud platform. It should remain on the cloud servers within the US. It is today very simple to operate. We're working with AWS infrastructure, and specifically in the US, only in the servers in North Dakota, and it doesn't get outside of the US. Definitely, once it goes up to the cloud for the interpretation, fully anonymized and de-identified. Okay, we really don't care about all the clinical data surrounding it. We just need the image. And going by country, again, AWS infrastructure allows you to properly operate it, given the specific regulation.
Yeah, and just related to that one, maybe I miss in your presentation how you ensure the clinical data privacy.
So we fully comply with all the standards and regulation, HIPAA, GDPR. We are ISO 27001 certified and 13485, fully protected data. We were passing penetration testing. We've built the product from day one with the scope of cyber and privacy. This is maybe the most significant concern, and we've taken into consideration from day one.
And how your solution will integrate with the clinical workflow?
So it is fully integrated into the PACS system of the radiologist. You launch the UI that you saw from within the PACS. You can see it just an additional CT series in the PACS. You press it and our interface jumps, and you have several layers of integration. First of all, you saw the patient prioritization list. Okay, so the first value, we extract all the DICOM data and create a prioritized patient list. You send negative cases to the bottom of the list and positive cases to the top of the list.
But it will be through a interface like a middleware, or how it will be connected to the core system?
With a middleware.
And you have to validate that middleware as well, because the data you will be using a validated data, then you have to validate your middleware because you are connecting to the core system.
Correct. And we have already done it.
Okay.
So have you done much around the value proposition for your different stakeholders in different markets? I know you've mentioned that there's clearly some value to early cancer diagnosis. I don't think any of us are arguing about that. But have you managed to put any numbers on that? And do you have a feeling for where that value will accrue in the value chain in different healthcare systems?
Yeah, definitely. So let's go one step back. I'll say that we as a company bring two major values to the world. First of all, finally allowing automation, saving time, generating money, minimizing liability, making sure they don't miss anything. But on the other level, we're definitely speaking about earlier detection of cancer, detecting it at earlier stages, smaller sizes, and here we generate a very high level of insurance value to the payers. That's a longer term potential we need to clinically prove. So the first go-to-market will really emphasize on the immediate ROI, really saving time. The reader's study that we're planning with Reyes Radiology, if the study that we're doing with MGH again proves the performance of the algorithm, sensitivity, specificity, area under the curve, etc., the study with Reyes proves the value to the customer, how we improve interpretation accuracy and reduce interpretation time. And we will measure time in this reader study, definitely, with the aim of showing as much reduction as possible.
And do you have a feeling at the moment as to what type of healthcare system would benefit most, or where you're more likely to get sales first?
Yeah. So again, broad vision, high level of focus now. Vision again is really for the full pancreas platform, where you can imagine all the values that can derive from it. The penetration niche is not only lung cancer, but lung cancer screening. Okay. And the institutions that will value the most out of it are the ones that are more heavily involved in lung cancer screening. Okay, which the larger volumes undergo today exactly in these radiology companies, the likes of Reyes Radiology. Okay, also in hospitals, but slightly smaller volumes. Again, one important project I forgot to mention is that together with our European partners, IDNA, which are again the leading group in the world in lung cancer, we are building a designated screening program for the US Veterans Association, which could be a very interesting case study. Think of the population you have here. First of all, a higher level prevalence of smoking. Second, a very organized and approachable group that you can generate a very effective awareness campaign and increase participation levels, which, regardless of us, is one of the problems with lung cancer screening, and create a very significant case study. In here, as I said, we're doing a mobile CT project together with Siemens and one of the most important hospitals here, not waiting for people to come to the hospital to get screened, but going to the communities, to rural areas and performing the screening there. I would say that these are the institutions and populations that will value the most at the first instance. Again, lung cancer is important, super important, but it is only the penetration niche. Okay, we've already started the development of our second product in the platform, which will be for prostate cancer. And the angle over there is slightly different. It's not only early detection. Prostate cancer is the most common type of cancer within men, but a very not lethal one. The main damage from it is the damage to the quality of life caused by the unnecessary biopsies. And over there, we're creating a model which, based on imaging only, will allow to dramatically spare the unnecessary biopsies. And here, the value is more of insurance value to the payers. Okay, today the physician is not sure to watch his back. He sends the patient to do a biopsy. The patient suffers, the insurance pays, but he is covered. We'll be able to generate a level of certainty which is higher than what the current biopsies provide you with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shay, one comment with reference to the health system, what Megan actually also talked about. I think one of the hypotheses you should definitely validate is, as a lung screening program implementation entity, what's their main pain point? Is the false positives is the main point, or the right patient recruitment is the pain point? If you see also the US data, there is a struggle actually to definitely onboard the right type of patients. In fact, they had to revise the guideline. Earlier it used to be 50-80. It has come down to 50-77 now, if I'm not wrong, or 75. And then from 30 packs to 20
Depends
packs.
between country and country, but yes.
Yes. But one of the important aspects, while false positive attacking false positives is important and as a right thing to do, but from a long-term business viability and sustainability part, understanding the priorities of that customer stakeholder, I think is very important, because they are struggling at other point of right identification and recruitment of those patients, and not necessarily the false positives which are coming. It is there. It is probably of top 5 topics to be done, but not the first topic to be done. And that's an important aspect when you do the business modeling and then the growth modeling, adoption rate that you're actually going to do in all your spreadsheets. I think that's an important aspect that for you to take into consideration.
But first of all, thank you for that. But do you think this is something that we can impact? Again, what's our place in the value chain? Can I impact the choosing the correct population to go into the, I can allow the provider to take a larger volume of the existing pool.
Yes. So I think you can enable, you may not be able to influence that particular part, but what I'm saying is that you may have a certain growth projection, which for your business that you would be considering per part of it. That has to be calibrated with the overall, the challenges, what the stakeholders will actually be growing and how their service line will be actually growing as such.
Yeah.
Related to that particular part also is about your reimbursement related part. If you see the CPT 71212T, which is there, currently it's a temporary code. We hope that it will get permanent as such, and that would be a good hope. But there's still a bit of a impermanence over there. So I think depending purely on the reimbursements part that you mentioned, $150 and likely to go to 200 as such, that I would caution you against that particular part because there are not that many successful cases that you're seeing outside which are not related to the false positive related topics as such, but the company scaling in terms of ARR depending on the screening programs. There are successes, but there are actually challenges to depend only on the reimbursement path for that particular model. So I think compared to that or adjoining to that particular part, what you talked about the radiology companies and then helping them with the operational efficiencies and gain over there, that I think is also an important part of the outcome-based and the value-based care that you can actually model into your businesses.
And in that context, if I may add, I think you might want to think about, other markets than just the US, with the, being very competitive, where everybody is kind of going, right? And there are specific reimbursement mechanisms as well, right? I mean, you might have a very different provider payer landscape in, countries in Europe, in some of the, let's say, Middle Eastern countries where this might be a very interesting proposition as well. So, take a moment maybe to step back, even though you have this partnership in the US, and think about, what other markets could be interesting, because I'm sure that, 80% of your competitors are not looking to, move into Saudi Arabia anytime soon, right? So these types of things might be interesting niches for you also to play, but with a very different commercialization and reimbursement model as well.
Definitely, and going strategically to countries that have adopted an official screening program, which is exactly timing-wise.
I think it's really important though. Yeah, so I was just going to reinforce your point, actually, that I think you've made a really super important point, and Shay, I'm not quite sure you've taken it on board, that you must make sure you are solving someone's primary problem, not their fifth problem on the list. Because health systems don't have extra money to do things that are nice to have. And so if the screening program has the problem that they just don't get people in through the door for screening, they're not going to be buying a new technology for making the screening better. They're going to be spending that money on marketing the screening program to the customer, to the people they want to get through the door in order to solve their primary problem. And I've seen so many startups get really frustrated when they've got an excellent product that clearly solves a really good, a really important problem in the healthcare system, and they cannot understand why people won't buy it. And the reason they won't buy it is they're buying something else first. And so it's really, really important you take on that point that you have to be solving someone's primary problem, not their fifth problem on the list.
Yeah, I think just to add with this one, I think that's where you have to prove your business value, which is, I think, missing in your presentation. Maybe take one example for one hospital, take their data and see how much time it required them, and with your tool, will that add some business value? I think that will be your selling point.
Yeah.
I think,
and sorry for extending, sorry, Pankaj, but one important aspect is that, which is in terms of go-to-market, I think, Shay, you follow the Blackford, because you also mentioned about Blackford, but you saw the decision from Bayer, what's happening to the Blackford, right? So it's not going to be in the market in the coming years, and that's going to affect quite a bit of AI distribution in US, at least. Of course, Blackford is also in Europe, So there will be also an impact that will be felt across as such. But what I'm saying is that when you do the business modeling part of it and how much you're going to go with the radiology companies, how much you're going to do with the platform players, and how much you are going to expect a revenue part of it as such, you will have to consider this particular bit of a turbulence at this point in time, and there's a bit of a question mark in terms of AI distribution part of that type of a model. So I think, in my opinion, validating the hypothesis of a deeper embedding into a lung screening program as a national program partner, working with them, the advantages of your technology and then the benefits, that will potentially de-risk you or shield you from these distribution related platform disruptions that are actually likely to happen. There will be more consolidation to expect into that particular space. So the point for you to do your business model on how different channels are going to be used for your GTM.
Yeah, it's very fortunate that we are sitting in front of such fantastic experts and getting all the guidance in real time. Do you have any specific question in your mind, a follow-up question where you want to get clarity on probably go-to-market strategy, on the product roadmap, on the regulatory aspects?
No.
Rocky, please go ahead.
This is such an exciting day for me because Genesis, in full disclosure, is I don't own the shares yet, but I do want to own them because what's happening, and I gave a report to CEO Shay this morning, is what's happening in America to earlier players in this space. Some of them only, let's say, just turned cash flow positive with $3 million in revenue. The market is coming to people like Genesis because of economics. Genesis stands ready to serve a problem for pennies, whereas the establishment medical complex has utterly failed humanity. Average case of stage 4 lung cancer, probably $500,000 to $1 million. So I am super excited to have given that report to him this morning, and also discovered it this week for another friend and client. And just to give an idea of the type of orders that Genesis will be seeing once everything is green lit, this smaller company I was mentioning, I used to work for them, Protean. They just turned cash flow positive. They're about $3 million a year. I'm in discussions with another friend of mine in the private payer space, of which there are 80 million Americans, and they're talking about giving a 3 to 5 year contract. They have a population of 1.2 million constituents. So that's just one customer of hundreds of employer health groups. If Protean, just for an example, was to do one of their tests for half of that population, we're talking about overnight Protean 70xing over that 3-year period. So, what I would just like to encourage everyone, and in interest of full disclosure, I really think that companies like Protean Biodiagnostics and Genesis, I really think they're going to be the next NVIDIA. Why? They solve big problems way ahead of the curve, and they fix a horrible problem, which is, I think modern medicine has failed us in the area of cancer.
Thanks a lot, Rocky. I know that Ali has to drop off in a few minutes. So I don't know if Ali has any final comment before he has to drop off, or probably he's already on another call now. But anyway, Any final comment for Shay? Any final guidance, piece of advice or recommendation before we hang up?
So I think from me, because I do need to drop as well, unfortunately, but Shay, thank you so much for your presentation. I know we all got a bit passionate there at the end where we were sort of, trying to get some points across. But I think broadly speaking, you've got a really exciting startup here. Got a really exciting piece of technology. It looks like you've got some really promising early results. I think that the key thing from my point of view, as I say, is recognizing that the healthcare systems are really stretched at the moment across the whole globe, and that therefore you really have to work out what it is they value, and that's really the most important point. And whilst I appreciate that you've got very passionate about a particular part of your technology that's really high quality, sometimes that's not the issue that people are worrying about. And so just being aware of that and sort of talking to customers as much as possible, I think would be
I've spoken with more than 300 radiologists across the globe.
Thank you, Megan. And you are absolutely right. Having passion for the technology, for building the solution is extremely important. But again, coming on such a public platform to get roasted, to get brutal, honest feedback on a live stream is extremely courageous. So thanks a lot, Shay, for showing that courage, taking questions, feedback very positively, very constructively. I must say that the panelists are extremely kind. They did not really roast you, but they gave a lot of amazing insights. So thanks to all the panelists for being here, for sharing the insight, for sharing the guidance. Thanks a lot, Shay, for doing this again.
And I want to thank you all and to say that I'll be more than glad to take on offline discussions with any one of you. With pleasure.
Yep. It
Thank
was
you.
fantastic to have side conversations. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you.
All the best.
Thanks, Shay.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.